Mickey Dickey here. And one of the questions I get from helping out some clients is how do you pay off debt? I've been using this almost as long as Dave has. I think his system works, mine works. They are a little different. And one of the differences is that most people focus on large loans and higher interest rates first, which I've always told people not to focus on the interest rates first. You pay off the smaller amounts first. So I wanted to bring on Dave here and let you listen to what his thoughts are. And I'll walk you through it. And I'm also going to try to show you an example of how to do it. So let's listen to Dave here real quick.
Most of you that listen regularly, we've been on the air now for a little over 25 years. Even before I was on the air, I was teaching people about money. When I first started this stuff, I'm a math nerd. I've got a degree in finance. I had all the letters and licenses after my name and all the different things, and I was real concerned about the math, really concerned about the math. And I would sit down with people and show them how to get out of debt, and they would go home and promptly not do it. It was really frustrating.
I've been there. And honestly, it is a very frustrating thing because you can help people out. And as much as he says it's not about the math, it is about the math. I wanted to stop it there and explain that is probably the most frustrating thing for someone in my position, where I can actually show somebody or teach somebody how to do things the right way, and it just doesn't get done because there's no follow through.
I started figuring out that hope has more to do with you winning with money than math does, because hope gives you, it's fuel on the fire. It gives you a reason to make changes, a reason to do something you've never done before. And really what we're saying here is that personal finance is about 80% behavior. It's only about 20% head knowledge and math. The problem with your money is not your math. The problem with your money is the person in your mirror. They're screwing up everything. If I can get the guy in my mirror to behave, he'd be skinny and rich. That's what I figured out. So I quit telling people to get out of debt, paying off the highest interest rate first. I started teaching people what we started calling the debt snowball. And it's a real tough metaphor to grasp. You list your debts smallest to largest. You pay minimum payments on everything but the little one. You attack the little one with a vengeance. Scorched earth lifestyle. Sell so much stuff the kids think they're next. Take 16 extra jobs. Name the dog eBay and put him there.
Okay. And I want to stop here because the rest of it just reinforces what we're talking about here. So the question is, how do you do this? And I never called mine the debt snowball. I just explained it to people the way to do this. But so what I've done is I've actually put together a little bit of another Excel spreadsheet, and hopefully my son can make it look better for you than the way I do it. But with my Excel spreadsheet, what I've done is set things up for you, because the first thing you have to do to make it successful is actually put together a budget. Because part of it that he doesn't explain, it's easy to say that you're going to pay off all this stuff, but you have to recognize the fact what got you here in the first place. So the first thing you have to do is start with a budget. Now, again, you don't have to download a budget. You can if you want to. You can just take a piece of paper, write it. I don't care. But what you have to do is actually get real with what you're spending your money on. And you have to want to do this as a household. So if it's you and your spouse, you and your partner, whatever, I don't care. But you have to sit down and break it all down. Now, what I've got up here on the screen is just some small numbers. So you have to break this down. But what I'm trying to show you here is that there's really nothing in the budget. And I'm probably being kind here that there's actually $40. And what I'm trying to show is put it all down here. You put down your dog grooming, you put down the dance instructions, the little league fees, the trips to the dentist, all the little things that you're spending money on a monthly basis. Write it down. And those of you who see my other videos, I always tell people, do it separately. Do it so that each spouse or partner sits down and does a budget based upon what they know they spend every month, and then come together and do it, and then add more, because I'm telling you, you're spending more than what you do. Because if you're in debt, it's because you're spending more than what you're bringing in. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in debt. But how it works is you put down what you're spending your money on, and then you start removing things that you can live without, at least on a temporary basis, if not forever. I know some of this stuff that you're going to break into, you're going to go, I can't get away with that. I know he's talked about getting rid of the dog, and sometimes it's a necessity. Dogs are not cheap. They cost a lot of money to feed. It's like having a kid. But find some things and you break them out. And again, this is just a simple budget. And all I'm saying is that, like a cable bill, most people don't need cable. Most of you need internet for school and other things. So I'm going to leave cable on the internet on here, but for a couple of months or 6 months or a year, I'm sure you can get away with cable because, again, you can stream anything that you want on here. So again, I'm just using this as an example. So here's $75. Here's dinners out. Okay. Which all I'm doing is saying here's $225 that we shouldn't be spending money on. Now, I didn't break this down into the new budget because, as he says, what you do is you keep paying the minimum payments. But how this works is the first month you take that $225 that we broke out of the budget and you add to the $50 that you were paying to the credit card, which means now you're paying $275, and in 2 months that credit card is paid off. Then you take that $275 that you're paying and you add it to the $50 that you're paying on this credit card, which means now you're paying $325 to that card, which means in 2 months that one's paid off. Then you take the $325 that you were paying on those 2 other cards and you add it to the $75 that you're paying on this card, which means in 2 months that one's paid off. Then you take the $400 that you're paying there plus the $100 on this one, and in 2 months you've got that paid off. So if you stop overspending, even if it's marginally, you save some of that money, and then this is how you do it. You can call it snowball effect, you can call it whatever you want. This is how you make it work. And you pay each one of these loans off. And what you end up finding is that you don't need the stuff you got rid of. You don't miss it. And now you start saving money. So once you've got all the debt paid off, in this particular case, you've got $475 a month plus the $225. So you've got $700 a month that you were spending on stupid things that you can actually use to have a trip, to start investing, to pay off your other car. Again, there's just so many other things you can do with that. $700 a month out of $4,000 is a massive amount. So again, part of what I'm trying to do is not just show people where there was inconsistencies. What I'm also trying to do is actually show you how to implement. So it's easy to sit here and say it. So I'm hoping that by doing what I'm doing here, you can actually see how to do it for yourself. Now, again, if you need help, talk to a financial advisor. Most of us will be more than willing to sit down and walk you through some of this stuff. Not everyone has the same theory. If they've got one that maybe works better, I don't know. This one is what's worked for me for over 20 years, just like Dave's has worked for him. I find it easier to pay stuff off because the one thing he mentioned in there is hope. And what I want you to recognize on the hope part of it is sometimes if you can actually see where it works and how it works, it helps with the hope part. And once you've done it and you see how one card gets paid off, and then you can see how you're going to the next card, that also fuels the hope. And then it becomes addictive where you just want to pay everything off. So I'm hoping by showing this that you will have the hope and you'll have the tools to be able to do that. If there is anything else that I can do, any other suggestions of how to make this work, let me know. Because again, my goal is so that you can retire when you want to retire and how you want to retire. And this is one of the easy ways to do that. I know it sounds difficult and implementing it isn't necessarily easy in the beginning. And sometimes it's just finding a little bit on there. But if nothing else, cut back on something. Take an extra $20, again, these are just made up numbers, okay? But trust me, it works. It works exceedingly well. And if you follow it, you will get out of debt and you will enjoy your life much better. So, Dickie out.